Hello, my name is Tanya Baldwin, and I will be advocating today for the Montessori classroom versus the traditional classroom. Which method do you think is best for our students today? The North Carolina Department of Public Instruction states that all kindergarten programs should provide a solid educational and developmental base for all children. The early childhood years, birth to 8, are the most powerful years for learning, growth, and development in the life of a child. However, traditional teachers are given a pacing guide for their instruction and are expected to deliver the same lesson at the same pace in the same order for all of the students. Is there another way to teach and still provide a solid educational base and developmental base for all children? Now I'm going to give you some information on the Montessori classroom. In a Montessori classroom, the teacher, the child, and the environment may be viewed as a learning triangle, where each one is linked and an important part of the whole. The teacher thoughtfully prepares an environment with materials based on students' needs that will entice them to explore and learn at their own pace. The teacher is seen only as a guide or facilitator, where the teacher may guide the students to new lessons or challenges, but it is the students' inquisitiveness about what their environment has to offer that determines the learning. The teacher works one-on-one with students to assist them with their own path to learning. In Montessori classes, grade levels are flexible, more so than in traditional classrooms, and they're determined by the child's developmental range, such as birth to 3 years, 3 to 6 years, 6 to 9, and 9 to 12. In the Montessori classroom, students are allowed to work on a lesson for as long as needed with minimal interruptions. In traditional classrooms, teachers are balancing a strict pacing guide with meeting the needs of so many while constantly working to differentiate their lessons, but in the end are still given the same assessment. In a Montessori classroom, students learn to love learning because the curriculum is intended to appeal to the child's innate hunger for knowledge. Why do we have to choose one over the other? I believe we can have the best of both worlds. Maria Montessori was an Italian physician who never had children of her own. However, her early medical practice focused on psychiatry, along with an interest in education. Maria's studies led her to the opportunity to observe the teaching methods of students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Maria became the co-director later of a training institute for special education teachers. Her goal was to take a scientific approach to learning. She used careful observations and experiments to see which teaching methods worked best. Her hard work and dedication paid off. Maria then designed learning materials and a classroom environment that fostered all children's natural desire to learn. The Montessori method can be used for all children, not just those who may be intellectually or academically challenged. Maria Montessori believed that children learn best when they're active. They learn best when they're using their hands. It's more effective that way. Children learn best when they are interested in the materials or the subject being taught. In a Montessori classroom, children learn to get along with other children of different ages. A multi-age setting seems to work best. And this type of setting promotes more of a family type environment, and it helps the children learn to cooperate better with others. When they move on to college or the workplace, everyone there will not be the same age. So this experience early on gives them the opportunity to get along with people a lot older or a lot younger than themselves. A Montessori classroom is not just memorizing facts and figures, people. It is hands-on and visual, and this method helps children to learn deeper. The child gets to be in control of their own learning. Traditional schools assume students need incentives like stickers, popcorn parties, maybe school dances, honor roll ribbons, terrific kid certificates. Maybe traditional schools think our children need that in order for them to learn. And if the students in traditional schools don't respond or aren't learning, then they get failing grades. They may get time out, and they may even get a trip to the principal's office. Traditional schools offer manipulatives for math and graphic organizers for writing, and the teacher usually decides which and when to use these. There just isn't enough time in a traditional classroom for the students to get to really explore. Montessori schools assume the opposite. That is, students do not need to be forced to learn. In fact, children are naturally inquisitive to learn. Prior to kindergarten, young children are always touching everything in sight. Young children roll things over, they look underneath, they want to see how things work, they want to see how to take things apart. Think about this. Prior to entering school, children aged 5 have learned how to crawl, stand, walk, talk, sing, dance, eat, and use the bathroom on their own. Some can ride a bike, some can tell their favorite story, some have even learned to read. Montessori schools stroke the fire from within. Sometimes traditional schools may be guilty of putting the flame out. Montessori schools promote hands-on, self-paced, collaborative, and challenging, joyful learning. Montessori promotes divergent thinking instead of convergent, and innovation instead of standardization. They do this with no grades, no tests, and no homework. You may wonder how they do this. This is how. They have mixed age classrooms, like I said before, age 3 to 6, 6 to 9, and 9 to 12. The older children are leaders or mentors to the younger children, and this gives the younger students the advantage of working with older students. The teacher does not stand in front of 20 or 30 plus children lecturing while managing classroom control. The teacher moves around the room working with students one-on-one or just taking observational notes, or he or she may be working with small groups. For example, one student may be working on addition while sitting next to a little older student working on multiplication. This advantage gives both students the opportunity to see where they've been, why they've learned what they've learned, and where they will be going next. Both of them, with this viewpoint, it allows both students the opportunity to see how their learning fits together like pieces of a puzzle, and they're able to see the bigger picture of learning. When students are able to see the big picture, then they're able to take ownership of their learning. This is a critical element in fostering a child's natural learning desire and leads to student interest. Children in Montessori follow their interest wherever that passion leads, regardless of what other students in the classrooms may be working on. In a Montessori classroom, students learn responsibility, independence, initiative, self-discipline, strong academics, and a lifetime love of learning. How can we combine the Montessori method of learning into our traditional classrooms today? Now you decide which classroom you would prefer, the Montessori classroom or the traditional classroom. And let's think about this. Is there a way to have the best of both worlds?